Okay. Well, thanks for everybody for attending this. And again, my sincere apologies for the slow start here. But I was happy to see everyone was having a little chat while waiting. It's an honor to be moderating this panel. We spoke earlier this week, and very impressive panelists. And we're going to share some insights and differences in incubators and accelerators around the globe, some of the different approaches and challenges and insights that we can share from the differences. So I'd like to start by introducing ourselves to the audience. I'll start by introducing myself. I'm Mike Maczuzak. I'm a product designer. I'm involved in product innovation and do a lot of, we work with a lot of startup companies, early stage companies, helping them to design their products. And then we also invest in some of these companies. So we're very familiar with and involved with early stage companies and some of the different programs, incubators and accelerators that they're participating with. So Aristarco, could you please tell us about yourself and your organization for a couple of minutes?
Yes, I will share a presentation if you let me.
Absolutely.
Sure. All you have to do is press on the computer. There you go.
Okay. There I go. Well, I'm from Puebla. It's southeast Mexico. I come from IDIT. It's a very big maker space where we hold all the labs for the Iberoamericana University in Puebla. It's a Jesuit university. And mainly we not only run the labs, but we also work a lot with companies. So we serve as kind of a buffer between academy and the companies, and we bring real life projects to academy and to the students. We have a very large incubation model, incubation process, but we always think in social economy enterprises. That's our small cooperatives in the poorest and the most violent neighborhoods in Puebla. Our model has 4 legs. It's the social part where we help the people to form this cooperative, to make a group. The innovation part that we work at IDIT, we are Fab Lab Puebla, and we develop mainly new products or new processes for small companies. We incubate the business part, and we make the networking. The importance of social economy enterprises is that capital has an instrumental character. Capital, making money, is not what the company is focused on, but they are focused in collective wealth and its distribution. We also, well, our model uses students mainly because in Mexico you have to work around 400 hours for free and in social venues, and our students help us with helping the companies. We work with the Puebla municipality, with the city government in this program. It's Yo Compro Poblano. It's I buy from Puebla, where they help us to incubate all these companies. Some of the work we have incubated over 1,300 companies. Some of the works that we do, remember, these are very small companies in the base of the pyramid. For example, this piñata company, we CNC and we make all the molding for their piñata so they can standardize production and they can increase production and they can have a new model of piñatas. These Kinonovas, they are chiropractics, and we help them to make their own tools because they are very, very expensive tools. But if you do this with a laser cutting, it's awesomely cheap. For example, in this chocolate company, we made the molds. These are in Mexico. We have a fascination for skulls. These are called Catrinas. They sell this artisany, and we help them to make the mold for the skulls. Things like that. We help them with with packaging and standard and easy machinery, so they can increase their production. Basically, that's what we do, and I would like to share our experience with you guys, and because it's very interesting people.
Thank you, Aristarco. Julianne, would you please tell us about yourself and your organization?
Sure. So I work for Plug and Play, and you certainly made me want to share a couple of slides. So I was pulling some together. Let me just get them up. Sure. Okay, so I think you guys can see that. So Plug and Play is a global innovation platform, and we do a number of different things. We accelerate startups through business development support programs. We're sort of a non-traditional accelerator in that we don't take equity or provide any funding, and we don't quite have a formal application process. So accelerator used lightly. We're also an early stage investor in startups, and then we have a very robust corporate partner network. And so I focus on health, but Plug and Play focuses on 17 different industry areas. So everything from food, sustainability, brand and retail, supply chain, fintech, insurtech, and more. And so we work with the leading brands in those industries to support corporate innovation and their connection with startups. So on the health side, this is just an idea of what that looks like. We partner with the different types of players within that industry. So in health, those are the providers, the payers, the pharma companies, and the sort of government industry groups that are working in this space. And then we do this on a global scale with all of our different industry areas. So we're a Silicon Valley-based business, and we have offices in over 30 cities around the world, including in Latin America, Africa, and Asia. And we're really proud of this global expansion and global work that we have, but also to have Cleveland as one of our offices as well. We've been here for 2 years now and continuing to grow and expand. And we work with startups all over the world because we think the best innovation is everywhere and not just where you're based. And we want to be able to translate those innovations around the world and get them to markets where that makes sense. So that's a brief overview of Plug and Play. And on my side, I focus on the venture side. So I talk to startups every day and look at opportunities to connect them with our corporate partners and investors, including ourselves as an investor.
Thank you, Julianne. Kelechi, would you please introduce yourself and tell us about your organization?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. I guess I have to bring out the slide as well. Yes. Just a moment, guys. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Kelechi, and I am from a company called Impact Hub Accra. Impact Hub Accra is based in Ghana, and we are primarily focused on essentially building the engine block for the next wave of commercial successes that we're going to see on the continent. And we started this off more of an experiment 8 years ago, and since then it has evolved. And so how does really what we do come to play? In places like Ghana, you have quite a number of challenges that just amplify each other. One of them is housing. If you're an entrepreneur who just raised some money, chances are you're going to pay, hello? Can you hear me? Chances are you're going to have to pay a property owner about a year's worth of rent before you can actually kick off your business. But with our model, we are able to build co-working spaces and sublease them to startups and early stage ventures at much lower rates, which actually kicks off a lot of productive gains for them. When you ramp up this process with programs, accelerator services, sometimes fundraising, what you have is a highly efficient cluster of early stage companies that have potentials to scale not just in Ghana, but in the sub-region. And our work is mostly around making this process as robust as possible, so that we can not just apply it in Ghana, but also be able to export it to other parts of the African continent. Yeah, and one of the very, very important things we want anybody who comes to Ghana to be able to do is to come to what we now call the Innovation Enclave, which is this 1 square kilometer part of the city where we are collaborating with city authorities to essentially take all the learnings that we've had in the last 8 years plus of supporting startups and early venture growth to amplify it through the city's connections and platforms, so that the impact can be felt beyond the little innovation campus bubble that we've built so far.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Kelechi. Lukonga, would you please introduce yourself and tell us about your organization?
Yep, great. Let me just pull up my deck as well. So my name is Lukonga Lindunda, and I'm a co-founder and executive director of BongoHive, which is an entrepreneurship support organization in Lusaka, Zambia, Central Africa, Central Southern Africa. So we work with great minds building viable solutions that change the world. We've been around for about 9 years now. Primarily started in Lusaka, and our programs are now running in a number of other spaces. So we've over the past few years, over 1,300 enterprises. Our programs running in about 4 countries. With about 23 partners, we've run quite a number of events and had over 8,500 attendees. We have a healthy balance as well of in terms of gender participation in our programs that we are pretty proud of. Our focus areas are a number of areas. Because of the nature of our ecosystem, we have a focus on pre-startups, mostly our work in universities, and also pre-university. We have some accelerator programs that we run for startups, and we have a specific focus as well on small and growing businesses and medium, small, and micro enterprises. And we also have a growing innovation consulting unit supporting corporates in being innovative. And overall as well, our work within the ecosystem is quite important in ensuring that we're able to reduce the barriers of entry for a number of entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs that want to start and grow businesses in Zambia. So our work around startups really is around idea validation, investor-worthy incubation, and investor readiness. And with our SGBs and MSMEs, mostly around business development support services and investor readiness. And for our corporates, our work is in digital transformation consulting and corporate innovation. And these are some of the programs that we've been running over the past few years that we have developed ourselves. But just a mention of 1 or 2 programs there. Our work with building talent, with our work with developer circles, Lusaka, with our work with Facebook in particular, is important in developing talent. But all through our programs, the idea is that we are able to address the various stages of an entrepreneur or a business. And so our work across the what you call a pipeline is really important, right from the pre-idea up to the time startups, entrepreneurs get investment and scale into the region. So our work, particularly with our Southern Africa Venture Partnership, which is a partnership of different hubs in the region, is important in not only scaling the businesses that are starting in this part of the world, but also seeing opportunities in the region for the hubs as well and other players. Some of the other programs are quite specific, and one of the panelists talked about the very sector-specific programming. That's what we run as well, with growing areas being fintech and agribusiness, and that's really great for our ecosystem. These are some of the partners that we work with: global, local, regional organizations. Like I mentioned, over 23 partners that we work with to really make sure our work has the right depth and also right scale. So that's pretty much about BongoHive, and thank you for having me on the panel.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Lukonga. Lukonga, you mentioned different hubs, and I believe you said 4 countries. I wonder, is it Do you apply the same, what your same learnings and development in your original and what you've developed in Lusaka? Do you apply that then in the different hubs, or is it very tailored in each different hub based on the localities and opportunities and challenges in the localities?
Yeah, a very good question. One thing you have to understand about the countries that which we have partnered with, or the hubs in those countries, is Malawi and Zimbabwe are like Zambia. You know, we have almost the same number of people, actually, almost around 18 million people, and some of the language similarities are there. We almost speak the same language, also, and English as well. So that helps in that entrepreneurs can then start from here, go into another country, and it's not foreign. Of course, other neighboring countries have that complexity. But when it comes to curriculum development, some of the more recent programs that we have run have been in collaboration with the hubs themselves. So we don't go with our own content and really just roll out based on our own understanding, but there has to be some contextualization of some sort with the hub or entrepreneurship support organization in that particular country. That ensures that we have the right adoption as well, and of course the right context. And that's important in terms of scale and how we can collaborate with other hubs and roll out our programs into other regional areas. Contextualization and just being able to work with others. Africa is big. We can't do it on our own, and collaboration is really key to ensure right entrepreneurs with the right material. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do the 23 partners you mentioned, do they cross over across the different hubs, or are there different alignments in those different hubs?
There are similar alignments in a way. One of the recent projects that we did with the British Council, I mean, they are present in all the countries I mentioned, and that's important. That way, you know, what they're trying to achieve is consistent across the different countries. So some partners have that kind of reach, and it's important, and some don't have that reach. But I think the collaborations with the hubs are important in order to attract the right local partners as well that may be similar across countries, may not be the same. But collaborations, I think, are key to unlocking the types of partnerships that are required to support entrepreneurs appropriately.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Aristarco, your organization is focused on in Puebla only, right? The location. How, as I understand, is that correct?
Yeah, we work mainly in Puebla, but we also have had several projects all around the country. At least 8 or 9 states. We have worked with Mayan communities in the Yucatan Peninsula, as well as with young people in risk in the border of northern Mexico. But mainly in Puebla, and we are focused in the poorest, the most violent neighborhoods, as I was telling you.
Yeah, how important and impactful is the relationship with the city government? I assume there's a strong incentive to create opportunity and make improvements possible. How important is that collaboration, their relationship with the city government and other regional governments?
Actually, it's paramount. It's very, 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 very important because for many reasons. The first one is that we work with them in, as I was telling you, in the most violent and the poorest regions of the municipality, and we need the city to kind of protect us and help us with their social capital to enter the neighborhoods, you know, because it's not easy to go there and say, hey, I want to help you. So you need the city to work together with the municipality authorities, but also it's because this what we have found is that one of the most important things for these small entrepreneurs to get into the market is all these connections that can be made either through our university or through the city, because for them it's very, very hard to sell to someone that don't really know them or don't really know their products. So the city helps with that part. They have all these connections. Actually, I'm going to share you. For example, they have helped us enter some of the fanciest shopping malls in the city. Otherwise, these people could never get into these places by themselves. So people uses the connections of the city to get into these shopping malls, and also the city helped us to connect with different organizations, or even with the city, to help all these small companies to make all the gifts, for example, the Mother's Day gifts for a company or for the city council. They are made out of our program. Also for the university, the Teachers' Day, all the gifts are made by these companies. All the catering, all the and well, that way they find markets, they can sell, they can their brands are more known in the city, and they can start a much more stronger business. So that those connections are very important. So the city is of course is funding this initiative, but it's much more important the connections that the city has than the funding that they give us.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you find in the over the recent years that you've had to educate and persuade the city government collaborators that you work with, or did they were they really on board and see the potential benefits?
No, actually, that's a very good question, because social economy cooperatives are not very well known in Mexico. No, I bet it's the same in the States. You say cooperatives, and it's kind of communist thing. But actually, if you see it in a global perspective, social economy is very, very important. It's very, very strong. Even in the United States, I was looking for some numbers yesterday, and out of the 10 biggest agricultural cooperatives in the world, 3 are from the United States. Actually, they sell over $60 billion a year. So it was kind of shocking, Energy, it's very important. There are energy cooperatives in the United States, and all over around the world there are many cooperatives. In Mexico, we had the same problem. The cooperative model is not well understood, and when we started this Yo Compro Poblano program, we actually had to teach, local government officials what was we make a social economy diploma, so they could understand all this thing. After this diploma, they even change the structure of the municipality, and they make this direction of social economy to run all social economy programs. So it's not easy. I mean you have to teach many people what social economy is, and most important, how innovation helps this social economy. We have from our almost 4 years, and people are beginning to understand why a Fab Lab or why a IDIT can help social economy venues. We have this great experience with a cooperative of artisans. Then we teach them how to do digital fabrication with their products, and they with our help and with the city help, we put a Fab Lab downtown Puebla, a cooperative run Fab Lab, and they are helping other artisans, not only in the city but all around the state, to increase their production, to help them with digital fabrication, with those things that do not add value to the product, that they should be done by a machine. So we are starting to permeate the ecosystem. Now we have 3 Fab Labs in the city, and we are trying to open at least 2 more.
You mentioned there are 1,300 companies you've helped, I believe. Are those all Puebla companies or peripheral to Puebla?
Just in the municipality of Puebla, in this program, Yo Compro Poblano. Now we are expanding to the at a city at the metropolitan level. So we are starting with small companies from not only manufacturing or service. We do less service. We try to do companies with the products, but we are starting with agricultural companies and many others. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you. So you're really focused, really a part of Puebla and Lukonga. You mentioned you're in 4 countries and multiple different hubs. Julianne, you are really spread across the globe here. I wonder how that affects the nature of your relationships with cities, local governments. You're coming in and setting up. Do you need the local governments as much, or do you? How do you? Is it different from city to city? The interactions you have with local governments. Are you coming in and just interacting with the companies and startups? How is that different from the what Aristarco just described?
No, that's a great question. I think it does vary by country and even by city. Some cities call us proactively and say we want to bring plug and play to our region, and they really kick off the relationship. They may not stay involved after it's been established because it's sort of the government provides that incubation, and then it sort of runs and doesn't need the formal city support anymore, that's great. And other times the city has initiatives where they want to stay involved. And then other times it's more us saying a corporate partner wants to bring us to a certain location. And so then we're reaching out to the local government and saying, hi, so-and-so wants us to come. We're interested, how else can we work together? Who else is in, because this, we're not experts and we don't pretend to be experts in all the locations that we're in, all the, industries that we're in. So we're always looking to partner with people that have that domain expertise. And so when you go to a new city, the city knows best its own resources and can make those connections for you and help. And it benefits them because it's bringing jobs and attention to that city. And more activity. So it's usually a very beneficial partnership. And then 2, we look at other organizations like ourselves, these entrepreneurship support groups, and collaborate. We don't see ourselves as a competitor in this space, as more of a collaborator. And so who else is there? What are their programs and services, and what are ours, and how can we lean on each other to support these businesses? Because it's really about the startups at the end of the day and their growth. And it's a very long journey to get from idea to market and then to stay successful. And so we're one portion of that. And we definitely know we don't do some elements very early on. And, in terms of funding, we work in a specific stage. And so after that, we're not good. We're not your partner. So who else can we introduce you to that has that bigger checkbook beyond us? And so we're always looking on both sides of where we stand to collaborate with others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's an interesting point you bring up. If I were to bring SmartShape, my design firm, to another city, there would be competitors there, and there would be a competitive situation there. But I find with the investment work for angel investing and the companies we work with through different incubators and accelerators, it's rather than competition, it's a very much a collaboration, as you said, because we're all trying to help cultivate the same companies for everybody's benefit. So that's interesting to hear you say that it's more of a collaboration than competition, and I'm glad to hear that. So your organization is really, you say that in each region you don't know as much as about that particular region's unique characteristics and challenges, opportunities, as some of the locals. I can imagine that's true, but you have a lot of well-developed, mature capabilities in your organization. Do some of the locations I imagine some of the locations you set up, it's an advantage that you can come in with all of your well-developed processes and learnings and set things up pretty more quickly than starting from scratch. Is that, would you say that's
oh, for sure. And when we launch a new city, we are doing it usually from our headquarters or from one of our other offices. And until you get to a certain point where you feel comfortable having staff on the ground, but then we do hire staff that are local that really know and have the connections in that region, because we see the value of having those networks and having people in all these those 30 plus dots on the map. Those are all people are in those offices. It's not just in name, and we maybe fly in or fly out, or just put our logo there. We have on the ground, and myself included, right? I'm sitting here in Cleveland, so it's great to then like take those two sides as saying we have this global organization. We have and we've been around for over 10 years too. So we've iterated on our business model, and our resources are centralized and things like that, but then also have the individuals who can add their perspective and twist things in a way that it needs to for their local market, whether that's just like language or, how you talk to folks or market things. We operate in English as a company worldwide, but we certainly in the offices locally, they may be operating, they can speak their language that everyone is speaking. And so we certainly see some of that and, have translators if needed, bridging that gap between different languages as well as like one example of the value of having people on the ground, like who are from that area, working in that area.
So most of the locations, the people are that staff these offices are local people. The teams that you build are local people. You may go in and help set things up, but then primarily it's local people.
We do. Certainly there's always opportunities to transfer. So you might have someone who wanted to go to that office, but usually it's balanced out then with folks that were recruited from that region to join the company.
Yeah. So we have a plug-and-play presence here in Cleveland, and that's been exciting since I first heard the news, and it's great to have that addition in Cleveland. You have the 10 years that you've been in operation, you've developed a lot and learned a lot as an organization. But even before that, Silicon Valley is sort of ahead of Cleveland in the entrepreneurial and startup and tech and largely in angel investing as well. So you're ahead of us, and you've got sort of a good head start on in this whole area. And Kelechi, we were talking the other day about how like Cleveland doesn't have the head start that Silicon Valley has, but you were talking about looking at where you are now and really looking at the long game and building for the future. Can you tell us about that vision, long-term vision that you're?
Thank you. So for us, it's we recognize the times we're in as a great opportunity to build for the next generation of businesses. The large corporate presence that is currently making money and impact on the continent and in Ghana specifically, the seeds for that were sowed decades ago. And what we're seeing today is as a result of that. And for us, it's really around two key things. How do we use our incubator programs to create corporate startup sandboxes that allows the SMEs and early stage ventures we are working with to use corporate resources while adhering to established policies, rules, and regulations by the government. But at the same time, the companies are able to use these resources to grow their muscles and be able to leave our incubators and accelerators and go into the real world But at the same time, it's also a win-win for the corporate organizations that they work with, because they get to learn and potentially acquire new companies or find new business partners in these startups that are playing around in the sandbox. And then the second part is really to work with the governments to pick together, to put together all the things that we've learned in all these experiments to amplify the government's work across the city. Governments all around the world, and more especially in the global south, are facing huge opportunities that could become problems if they don't work on them, of large, highly trained, youthful population, but not enough economies that are expanding at a rate to create opportunities for these young people to be employed. So if you can have these amazing sandboxes that can get SMEs out of the door quickly, we can actually create jobs, and even more importantly, allow these SMEs to grow to become the next future of the next corporate future for the country. And it's not been an easy road. Every now and then you try a few ideas and it doesn't pan out the way you expect it to. But if you look at it from the perspective of we're failing forward, then you soon realize that in the last 8 years, our work has really improved the life of SMEs. We've unlocked as of the last count, we've unlocked over $10 million into the local economy that we've worked with. And this 10 million has gone on to create easily over 6,000 jobs on record. And if you go, and we don't even know how much of a domino effect this keeps happening. Now, imagine this happened in a 1 square kilometer area of the city that is highly curated. Imagine if we can replicate that in as many cities as possible and give more entrepreneurs the opportunity to grow the next corporate backbone for the country and the sub-region at large. So that's largely how we see this process evolving for us. And we're, of course, we can never, ever be able to do this on our own. And this is why we work with different partners. So actually, Impact Hub Accra is part of the Global Impact Hub Network, which is in over 100 cities and counting. And we leverage on each other's networks, understanding of how to get things done, and just rapidly move and execute any project that we have. So you can imagine that within such a network, there's so much institutional memory of how to get things done faster and more efficient. And I think this has been one of the things that, although we're a locally rooted organization, we have this global connection that allows us to not just make things that are locally relevant, but also relevant to the international community that is interested in our work.
Mm-hmm. Kelechi, what do you see as the biggest, often the biggest opportunity is also your biggest challenge, because that's where you want to go. What do you see as your biggest opportunity / challenge that will get you to the next level? What is the biggest rock to move?
Yeah, so it's in the end, it's really a lot of people say money, but for me, in the end, it's really about creative confidence. And I say this, and I expand a bit on this. We talk a lot about Europe and Asia and and other parts of the world where things seemingly work, within the snap of a finger, and everyone conveniently forgets the fact that there has been centuries of innovations that has made it possible for some of these things to be built on. And we think that we need to get all the community of partners and investors and everyone we work with to understand the fact that for us to truly create opportunities for innovations to thrive, we have to look at it from the perspective that a lot of things that make it possible for startups to take off, don't really exist, and we have to be able to invest into that process. We have to be able to make it possible for startups to not have to worry about rents, to not have to worry about electricity, to not have to worry about connectivity and all these basic things. And that is one of the best ways you can truly build creative confidence. That's one of the building blocks that you can build creative confidence with over time. And once you have it, the rest is really semantics. It's really about, you know, getting to the bridge and crossing it. But once you have that creative confidence really, really ingrained in not just the individual, but the ecosystem, it's a major game changer. And we are at that threshold. For the first time in Ghana, the total amount of money, capital that's been injected into the ecosystem in the last 3 years is more than that has happened in the last at least 10 years combined. More and more people are realizing the opportunities and realizing and coming up with solutions. And so, yeah, we're quite excited about the fact that this has become finally mainstream for us.
Mm-hmm. And the collaborations you mentioned as a key, real key, are those collaborations more regional, Accra, Ghana, or global? What's the nature of the collaborations you're seeking? And
yeah, so it's a mix.
All of the above.
Yeah, it's a mix of collaborations. I guess the one of the most important is the fact that we're locally rooted. And in the last, it's interesting, in the last 2 years, we've had a visit by at least 3 major key European leaders as we try to cement different business relationships with Europe and Asia. And so although we are very, very much, a lot of our solution is local, but a lot of the partners that come together to make these things possible are regional and international. And so we've worked across, actually one of our co-founders is actually running a similar impact hub in the US and a few in Europe. So yeah, we work with a wide range of partners. And in these critical times, we've seen a huge interest from outside of the continent to Ghana. And so you see a lot of African-American communities who are looking to invest back home. You see a lot of major business groups in the US who are looking for new opportunities on the continent, and they're exploring what that means with institutions like us. So yeah, we work with quite a broad range from local, regional, and international. So long as we align on the possibilities and we see things in similar direction, we're very open to working with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you, Kelechi. Aristarco, what do you see as your biggest opportunity / challenge? Your the biggest opportunity and the challenge to get there.
Well, there are many.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, hard to choose.
It's hard to choose. But I was thinking about this creative confidence that Kelechi was talking about, because in with the companies that we are working with, some things that we do with these people is that they have to understand that they can do it. You know, that they can have these good products, that they are part of an ecosystem, that they are not alone, that they can grow and we can grow together with them. I mean, it's the context is it's so different from what we are used to handle. Like if you were in Silicon Valley, or even in our university is a private university, a kind of fancy. So even for them going into the university and to see all the stuff that we have, it takes courage for them, and we have to work together in the, you know, feeling this people's backpack with this creative confidence, with this personal confidence, to trust in them in themselves. I think it's some of the most important things, and then understanding that they can work together, because it's hard for people to work together, you know, and say, well, we're going to sell this much and the wealth is going to be for everybody, you know. That is also hard not only in Mexico. I mean, I have had the opportunity to see some other experience of the social economy in South Asia and some in Africa, and we are all the same individual. I mean, we all want to live well and to help our families, and you know, we have all the same needs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Absolutely right. Lukonga, what are your unique, your biggest opportunity and the challenge to get there, unique to your organization?
So one of the challenges that we continue to address, right, is the quality of the entrepreneurs or the business ideas. So the pipeline development is always on our minds. Because at high level, you know, you can look for the unicorns and you can work with the really great startups. But once you do that over a few years, you realize that, you know, there still needs to be a lot more work that's done to build the pipeline that brings you the great entrepreneurs. So I think that the pipeline development itself is a lot of work. And the question that we always ask, you know, especially for us who are working from a sort of bottom-up approach, right? So we're able to work with entrepreneurs and all those things. Question we always ask is, what kind of change can we cause that's more systemic? So what can we do that if you were to remove BongoHive from this whole process, businesses that would get funding, you know, they would actualize their ideas. And so the pipeline work itself is the greatest challenge, right? And because it's easy also to extend your efforts because, you know, you want to solve all the problems that affect your pipeline. So you go as deep, as wide as possible to get what you need. And that always represents the daily challenge that we have to ensure that we have what we need over the long term. But I think that the real opportunity then is in collaboration and not just regional. I think that the collaboration itself has to be driven by some type of strategic focus. And sometimes, you know, especially in our own ecosystem, there seems to be that huge lack of strategic focus. So, okay, what do we need and how can we get there? And you find that governments play a huge role in that. And, you know, you can go into great conversations about what kind of leaders we need to be able to develop that strategic focus that supports us. We won't get there. But, you know, if we were to get it right, I think that that's a huge opportunity that can drive a lot of our efforts and also get the returns that we need. So I think the pipeline focus and also the strategic focus that we need are two things that are really important in our ecosystem. And when you put them together, I think we can really go ahead and achieve so much more in a short period of time.
Yep, thank you. I can see the importance of making progress on systematic building systems that are rather than, well, in addition to the individual companies you're helping, the individual successes that you're doing, you need to build those systems, which Julianne, your organization has done quite impressively over the past decade. But do you have? You don't have any challenges, probably, right?
So you guys are already. And we just we and actually, yeah. I as I was listening, we certainly encounter similar challenges. But another one I would add is sort of turnover and change within the organizations that we work with, whether that's government or corporate or even the startups themselves. So you have this champion that really gets it. They want to do the innovation. They want to connect with the startups. You know, they want to do this thing, and you know, you've sort of sold them on the partnership, and you know, it's great, and it's going, and then they leave. They go get another job somewhere else. They take time off, whatever. They're gone, and suddenly you have to redo it all again, and you have to say, why does your organization matter? Why does this? I mean, sometimes it's why does this even matter? You've lost the support for this entrepreneurship support and the innovation, especially in this time of the pandemic. We're seeing, you know, a lot of budgets get cut, and everyone thinks, when you think budget cuts, you think, oh, where can I trim in a corporate budget? And it's innovation, unfortunately, which should not be the case. It should be something you always invest in, and there's a lot of good reasons to invest in a pandemic. But you see that, and so it's tricky, and you lose that momentum, and it takes years to make big changes. And so if you lose time with that turnover of people in an organization, or you lose, you might lose that partnership altogether, and it can be hard. And there's opportunities there too, because if your champion leaves and they go to another organization that is still in the same space, they can become a champion for a new organization for you. So there's sort of a double-edged sword there. But I know it's something we encounter, especially if you stick around in the location for a while. It's just, how do you don't really change all that much. And so then it's like, oh, is this the same old? Are we still getting value out of this partnership? Is Impact Hub still relevant? And you're like, yes, yes, it is. But you have to kind of resell why that's the case. And, you don't get to you don't get the benefit of your progress. Somehow you don't get cheered on for the progress you've made and all the impact you've made. Instead, it's like, why should we still have you around? Why should we still support this in whichever way? Which is unfortunate. I think it's something we all encounter in our organizations.
Yeah. As you achieve your opportunities and solve your challenges, there's always a new sets of challenges, never-ending sets of challenges, right? Well, we have about 5 or 6 more minutes, and I'm curious we're all in different parts of the world. I'm curious, where did I hear the rooster from there? That's awesome. I wish it were here.
That's for me.
Oh, that's awesome. What time? I'm curious, what time is it there in each of our locations? Kelechi, what time is it there?
5:54 p.m. And I think you've seen the daylight disappear. So I'm sitting next to the window, and I'm sitting outside, and I'm watching outside, and the puppy is next to me sleeping.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, we did see a transition from day to night there. That is awesome. And you have the puppy sleeping next to you, and we heard a rooster outside the window, and that's wonderful. Just the international nature of this call is really cool. And Lukonga, are you in a similar time zone?
No, so it's 7:55 p.m. So a few hours ahead of Ghana. So it's quite dark here, but yeah.
Yeah, so you're about 2 hours ahead. Yeah, and you're at home. I forgot to ask you, Kelechi, have you in your organization during this past 6 months with the pandemic? Has it changed your daily life in work? Have you been working from home more, or do you? Is it more virtual? Is it the same?
So it's funny because we've made a lot of investment into real estate, right? And so you're constantly juggling. But we did lose a lot of clients because a lot of startups had to pause. But what we always see these things as a way to redefine ourselves. And so we do a mix. For the first time, really, we've actually worked from home a lot of time. But in recent times, we've changed a bit to now make it a much more hybrid process where people can work. We have allotted times to work from the hubs, our spaces, and then allotted times to work from home. Working from home will be with us for a long time. There's still an amazing opportunity for us to keep reinventing ourselves as an institution. We started with about 40 square meters of space. Today, we easily have over 2,000 square meters of space. And each time we are trying to figure out what is the best way to utilize them. And this is some of the best times actually for us.
Yeah, thank you. And Lukonga, have you been shifting in your more virtual, or has the pandemic affected your way you work?
So we've been working remotely, most of the team, for the past few months. And the great thing is that we have a number of different units in the team. So we did a survey just a few weeks ago. We asked people, do you want to work from home or not? And we found that the software developers, they decide, for them, they don't want to come to the office. They're okay. They're okay at home and things like that. But we still need to be in contact with some of our entrepreneurs in our program. So we will have to find a way of spending a bit more time in the office to run some of the in-person events, and programs. But for the past few months, all our programs have been online. Even now, we are running virtual programs for different types of entrepreneurs. So I think that COVID has revealed a great opportunity for us to be able to deliver our services online. And going forward, it's just making sure that we maximize opportunities in both areas, whether we're doing offline or online delivery of programs. That's really important going forward, that we exploit all the available opportunities here.
Mm-hmm. And thank you. Aristarco, have you been working more remotely in this past months, past half year? How has that affected your
I don't know
daily life?
Where all this job come from. I have worked much more than in my office at IDIT, but it's been very, very interesting because we were digital just before the pandemic, but we were kind of at the end of the springboard, to jump to the swimming pool, and this thing was the final push. And what we have been doing with the companies is trying to make how we make all these small companies digital. How can they sell via internet? Because it's not easy for them. I mean, everybody wants to put their own website to sell, but it's very, very difficult because how you get people to the website? We have helped them with that. We also have to reinvent many of our functions, inner functions. We started this micro learning platform. So the people, instead of going physical with the companies, we started to make learning lessons, small lessons from 3 to 7 minutes, so people can take those lessons. We also made up this micro learning podcast, so some of the people can hear it in their own businesses. So we are kind of reinventing ourselves, and we do really believe that the world is going to be different. And we will all have this with this mix between digital and physical. And some of the jobs that the people need to make in our lab, they send us all these bits, and we make the atoms there, and they just pick them the stuff. So it's been a very interesting journey, and it's been a lot of job, a lot of work.
Yeah, thank you, Aristarco. And Julianne, you're seeing, in being global in so many different locations, you're probably seeing a different situations regarding the pandemic and how people work and need to work. And I know the San Francisco has been quite affected by this. How is it? What are you seeing happen in the past 6 months?
Yeah, the biggest thing is travel. We like to bring people together. We like to do things in person, and we like to be on the ground wherever we need to be, and bringing our colleagues to our headquarters. So all of that has come to a halt. But we've been sort of working through it since January, since we do have offices in China that closed first. So also sort of taking a regional approach of, our colleagues in Germany are back in the office every day, and obviously California still shut down. So that balance and unpredictability of when it'll be okay to travel, but then even having 500 people in a room, when will people do that again? When will people be comfortable? And we're working with so many outside organizations that you can't, we expect sort of a hybrid for quite a while. Because people might not be able to go globally to get into countries, and their organizations may not fund the travel budgets. They might not approve the trip. So what does that future business look? I mean, we're making business happen virtually, but when there is some level of back in the office, how does that hybrid model look?
Yeah, hopefully some of the startup companies that we're all working with will help us solve this problem sooner than later, and look forward to meeting all of you in person someday, somewhere. And we're all sister cities. So if you ever, any of you come to Cleveland, please look me up, and you have a place to stay and give you a tour of the city. If any of you find yourselves near Cleveland, Ohio, welcome. And I think that's the end of our time. If I'm
Thank
not
you very much.
Thank you, Michael.
And
I'll say the same too. If any of you is coming to Accra, please extend. Let me know. You're more than welcome. Happy to show you around, to take you to some of the cool spots. A few hiking spots out of the city as well. So.
Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, panelists, for joining us. I really appreciate it. It was great to meet everyone, even virtually. So thank you. We're having our naturalization ceremony right now. So if you would like to join us on the main stage, that would be great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you.
We'll see you.
Glad meeting you guys.